Today we are going to discuss these domains of human development. Domains of human development. Our agenda here is to dive deep into cognitive, language, physical, emotional, moral, and spiritual development. Remember that in our previous discussion, we have seen these principles of human development and have summarized domains of human development into physical domain, social emotional domain, and cognitive domain. But for today, we'll just dive deep into this cognitive domain, language domain, physical domain, emotional domain, moral domain, personality domain. So this language, emotional, moral, and personality domains are grouped into socio-emotional domains. We'll start from this cognitive domain. Cognitive domain of development, human development, refers to the process by which individuals acquire and develop intellectual abilities, including perception, memory, attention, language, reasoning. So we use logic. The sophistication of memory and logic depends on our cognitive development. The sophistication of our logic, for instance, abstract reasoning, hypothetical deductive reasoning, depends on our level of cognitive development. So cognitive development involves the growth and refinement of mental processes, including perception, thinking, problem solving, and that are necessary for effective learning, reasoning, and decision making. So there are some components of this cognitive development. The first one is this perception, the way in which human beings interpret and make sense of external stimulus from the environment, such as sound, light, sight, and touch. So we have sensory receptors, and when we receive external stimulus through their energy propagated on our receptor cells, then immediately we also have this perception. So perception and sensation is one component of our cognitive development. Remember that you have discussed these principles of perceptual organizations and sensations. This is grouped into this cognitive developmental psychology. The second one is this attention. Attention is the ability to focus and sustain attention on relevant stimulus and filter out environmental information. So our ability to selection and attention, that means focusing our attention and sustaining our attention on relevant stimulus and filtering out or discarding irrelevant information from our memory, from our conscious memory or conscious awareness. The third component is memory. So memory refers to the ability to encode, store, and retrieve information over time. Uh, we have the sensory register or sensory memory, short-term memory, long-term memory. Remember, you have learned about these three types of memory: the sensory register, which is an exact replica of external stimulus; in the short-term memory, uh, which is which refers to the amount of data we encode for certain these minutes, for certain minutes. And the first one is the sensory register. We record information for 20 or 24 seconds, whereas in the short-term memory we store information for certain minutes. And therefore, we have also this long-term memory, elaborative rehearsal and repetitive rehearsal, which we use to encode information into our long-term memory. These are treated in the cognitive domain of development. The fourth one is language. Language is our ability to understand and produce language, and including spoken or written communication. The fifth one is reasoning. It is our ability to think logically and solve problems and make decisions based on evidence and rational thinking. So with reasoning, we have this understanding cognitive development is important for identifying why do we learn, why we psychologists learn the cognitive domain of development. How do we or why do we learn cognitive aspects or dimensions of development? Because learning about cognitive development of human being helps us to identify and address developmental challenges, promoting healthy learning and intellectual growth, and supporting individuals or treating individuals with Down syndrome, with autism spectrum disorder, with different developmental disorders. Why do we learn about human development? Because it helps us to treat individuals, human beings, with cognitive developmental disorders like Down syndrome, Klinefelter syndrome, this autism spectrum disorder, childhood disorder, learning difficulty, different aspects of developmental disorders are treated with the knowledge of this cognitive domain of development. And there are different theoretical perspectives, hypotheses, and paradigms on these aspects of development. The fourth, the third one is this language development. It is our ability to communicate or express ourselves and understand others. So the study of language development involves observing, tracking the language skills of children from infancy through adolescence. Researchers follow children over an extended period for 10 years or 5 years, allowing these researchers to observe changes in children's language skills and language development. So researchers do not conduct one short study, one time or one short study. Rather, they conduct research and they collect data over an extended period. For 10 years, they collect data for 10 years. They study changes in language skills, speaking skills, pronunciation skills over an extended period, say for instance for 10 or 5 years. So psychologists also relate this aspect of language development with other aspects of language development or developmental milestones that children typically reach. So, for instance, researchers have identified certain stages of language development that most children go. So, these are babbling, single word utterances, and eventually more complex sentence and conversations. So researchers simply study the change, curvilinear or linear change in language development or in language skills from infancy to old age. Researchers also study the various factors that can influence or impact language development, such as environmental factors, genetic factors, cultural factors, nutritional factors can affect this language development. So the next one is this physical development. Physical development refers to the changes in a person's body and the development of their physical abilities. This includes change in size, shape, appearance of the body, as well as important improvements of physical skills such as growth in fine motor skills. So during infancy, physical development is characterized by rapid growth and development of the body, including the brain and nervous system. So physical development increases rapidly during infancy and early childhood, and then it is accompanied by a slow pace of growth in physical attributes. So babies develop control over their head, neck, and limb, and they begin to crawl and eventually walk. Remember that we have discussed that development follows predetermined pattern. So during childhood, children grow taller and stronger and develop more refined motor skills, fine motor and gross motor skills. They engage in physical activities such as running, jumping, climbing, which help develop their coordination and balance. During adolescence, children, late childhood, during late childhood or during adolescence, children observe this puberty. This development, physical development, is marked by the onset of puberty, which brings significant change in the body, secondary sexual characteristics and primary sexual characteristics begin to manifest. Adolescents experience growth spurts, changes in the body, the development of the secondary sexual characteristics. During adulthood, physical development continues but at slower pace. So adults experience changes in their sensory abilities, such as hearing and vision, and may develop age-related conditions such as arthritis and other developmental disorders. However, with proper diet and exercise, adults have also potential to maintain physical health and well-being. The next one is this emotional development. This refers to the ways in which individuals develop their emotional capabilities, including their ability to recognize, understand, express and regulate their own emotions, as well as their ability to empathize with and respond to the emotions of others. Therefore, emotional development entails recognizing others' emotions, recognizing our emotions, understanding others' emotions, expressing and regulating our emotions, and as well as our ability to empathize or develop empathy with and respond to emotions of others. Therefore, emotional development begins in infancy and continues throughout the life, and it's influenced by a range of factors, for instance, genetic factor, biological factor, chromosomal factor, neurological factor, temperamental factor, and experience. So during infancy, emotional development is characterized by the emergence of emotions such as joy, anger, sadness. Therefore, during infancy, emotional development is manifested by infants exhibiting joy, anger, sadness, and fear. So infants begin to develop emotional bonds with their mother, especially with their mother, and learn to regulate their emotions in response to the emotional cues of others. During childhood, emotional development is marked by the development of these complex emotions such as shame, guilt, and empathy. Remember the Eric Erickson's psychosocial development. Children, with regard to this emotional development, children begin to develop a sense of self-esteem, and learn to regulate their emotions in response to social norms and expectations. So during adolescence, this emotional development is marked by this a growing awareness of the self and the social world, as well as increasing independence and autonomy. During adulthood, emotional development continues and individuals may experience a range of these emotional challenges and transitions, such as divorce or navigating romantic relationship, parenting, and career transitions. The next one is this moral development. Moral development refers to the way in which individuals develop their sense of right and wrong and their ability to make ethical decisions and judgments. So, moral development begins in childhood, probably during middle childhood, and continues throughout the life, and is influenced by a range of factors, including cultural and religious beliefs, family values, and personal experiences. During early childhood, moral development is marked by the emergence of a sense of fairness and justice, and an understanding of these basic moral concepts such as dishonesty, kindness, and empathy. During middle childhood and adolescence, moral development becomes more complex and abstract, and adolescents begin to develop their own moral values and standards. So adolescents start to question moral norms of the society and may begin to form their own sense of identity or standards of norms and purpose. Lastly, during adulthood, moral development continues and individuals may face a range of ethical challenges and dilemmas, such as, for instance, balancing personal responsibilities with professional responsibilities and solving complex social and political issues. The next one is this personality development. Personality development refers to the ways in which individuals develop their unique patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving, or their own temperament. Personality development during infancy and early childhood is characterized by the emergence of basic temperaments such as activity level, sociability, and emotional reactivity. As children grow older, they develop more complex personality traits and patterns such as self-esteem, assertiveness, and empathy. So during adolescence, personality development is marked by increasing self-awareness and growing sense of identity. So adolescents may experiment with different personality traits and behaviors and may begin to solidify their values. So during adulthood, personality development continues, and during adulthood or adults may experience a range of these transitions and changes in their personality development, such as career change, marriage, parenthood, and aging. Thank you.